You know, it really means a lot. Nothing against you guys, but it means a lot. You know, anytime your peers step up and give you recognition because that's who you're competing against. You know, and there's excellent coaches, excellent staffs, excellent organizations because it's yes, my name is quote unquote on it this year, but it's not all about me. It's a testament of where this organization is, from the coaching staff to performance medical. I said it all along. You know, we've had a healthy team, and that's a big part of it. And you know, Jazz and his group on the medical performance side had a lot to do with it. You know, just like the rest of the coaching staff. It wasn't just me. I mean, I miss crap all the time, but they covered my behind when I do, and all that other stuff, which makes it a huge team effort. And then lastly, you know, when they mentioned it in the circle over there, and they asked me for a speech, the only thing I could do is say thank you to everybody because, yes, again, my name's on it, but the players don't compete at the level that they've tried to compete at this year, and then, you know, we have no shot at it. So, again, it's a testament to where the organization is as a whole, and you feel good about that, especially when it comes from your peers.
Coach Harrison Barnes update?
He's fine. He tweaked his ankle yesterday in practice. He finished practice, and you guys saw. We just kind of helped him out today.
Coach, we've heard you talk a lot about the importance of guys outside of Domas rebounding defensively, and the Warriors have a lot of good offensive rebounds. Like, how essential is that in this series?
It's going to be huge. You know, a guy like Loon, I mean, he's a monster, and not just when the shot goes up in the half court, but even in transition, and more importantly, when it comes to free throw box out. He is very crafty at pushing his way, getting great position, and getting second opportunities when they do miss free throws, which isn't often. And then, you know, the reality of it is, without Wiggins last year, offensive rebounding during the playoffs, I can honestly sit here and say I wouldn't have another championship ring. His offensive rebounding last year in the playoffs was just as big as Steph hitting threes. And so boxing him out from the perimeter, boxing Dante DiVincenzo out from the perimeter is going to be big. And then we all know about Draymond. He's just as crafty as they come. So it's going to be big for all of us to put bodies on bodies and not give up second chance opportunities.
And then the pace and spacing that they have in the open court, how does that impact you guys and even the glass for you guys on the other end?
Well, I mean, that's what makes it really tough because you have to be out guarding these guys, and you can't shrink the floor and think offense or rebound before the shot goes up, and that's going to allow them to have a lot of one-on-ones when it comes to rebounding the basketball. So we got to do our job. We got to be physical with our guys and try to keep them off the glass. And if we have an opportunity, crack back and see if we can gain rebound against Lone.
What does like this week look like when you talk about yesterday's practice, today's practice, and tomorrow's practice, and assuming you don't have a shoot around on Saturday, how do they kind of differ, and what's kind of the thing you need to see most from your team in these days?
Well, stay locked in, be focused, try to soak up as much as you can without it being too much, you know, and so there's a fine line that you have to be able to walk, and our guys are doing a great job with it. We don't feel like we've thrown a ton at them. Our main message, again, like I said, come playoff time, you have to have a physicality about the game, and on both ends of the floor, especially defensively. And then for us, the way we play, our pace has to be there. We have to play with great pace, and you know, historically, you don't really see that in the playoffs. But we cannot let our foot off the gas. We're going to have to even turn it up because you know they're a championship level team and they're an experienced team. And if we play into their hands and/or their pace and allow them to get up into us and you know slow our cuts down and slow our movement and screens and transition down, in the half court down, we're going to be in trouble. And in terms of throughout the course of the week, you know, basically Tuesday, got a lot of shots up, watching personnel stuff. Wednesday, we went pretty hard, got them up and down against each other, simulating some game situations. Today, backed off a little bit. Tomorrow, will be shooting around, and then Saturday, it'll be optional shooting around. So that's basically the week for us.
Are you getting any sense that your guys are intimidated or overwhelmed in any way by any of this?
No.
Can you elaborate just on how the kind of the mood in the room?
No, confident. You know, guys have a belief in their approach, and you know there's also an inappropriate fear. Anything that you do, you got to have an appropriate fear for whatever you're stepping into, especially for the first time. But that doesn't take away from the confidence and the belief that we have in each other because we've had it all year.
Mike, when it comes to defending Steph, I mean, how much can your knowledge of him, having coached him, help? And when it comes to Davion, how important do you think he could be, and how do you manage keeping him on the floor despite his, or not despite, but how he's shooting offensively? Like, how do you balance his playing time when it comes to his shooting, too?
Well, it's going to have to, first of all, it's going to have to be a group effort. So it's not just going to be Davion that's going to, quote unquote, be the guy guarding Steph. We're going to have to throw multiple bodies at him. He's a guy that if you show him the same thing over and over and over again, he can kill you. Even if you change it up, he can kill you. So he's a tough cover for anybody. And, you know, look, at the end of the day, at this point in the year, and a lot of people have said that Mike's familiar with the Warriors. Well, I mean, they're just as familiar with us and myself as we are with them, you know. So I don't think that plays into anybody's advantage because everybody knows exactly what their opponent's going to do in a lot of different situations. It's about who's going to go out there and execute it better and at a higher level during the moment.
Coach, would you say your three-part plan for success is working thus far? You had a three-part plan for success. Is it working thus far?
It is, but you know, but not necessarily success. It's for a sustained winning culture, and we're headed in the right direction. But again, and I was going to talk about this more at the end of the year. It only gets harder from here. You know, to me, going from here to here, and that part was the easy part. Going from here to here, even though the distance is a lot shorter, I'm telling you, and we don't know yet, but that's hard. It's hard to sustain it and to continue moving forward. That's really, really hard for all of us.
Rookies in the postseason understandably get targeted a lot. How do you do anything differently with Keegan as you approach this series versus what the regular season looks like when teams may target a rookie in that regard?
No, he's going to have to step up. You know, we really haven't treated him like a rookie, as you guys know, the whole year. I mean, if he makes a mistake, he's going to hear it, you know, and it's no different. We got to let him know. We got to coach him like he's a vet, and he's going to have to go out there and perform because we can't have anybody not stepping up during this time of the year.
And Mike, is there another level to the pace that you guys can go to? Because it feels like you may have even shown it a little bit in the New Orleans game and the Dallas game where you guys were moving faster all of a sudden. But do you think there is a possibility you guys can crank the pace up?
I do. And now the question is how long can we sustain it? And that's what we'll have to be able to go out and see. But I do think there's another level we can take that.
Mike, I want to go back to the Coach of the Year award. This is the second time you've been named Coach of the Year. What does it mean to win it at this point in your career after what you've gone through and being back in the head coaching role?
You know, as a younger coach, you know, not in a mean way or a negative way, but you kind of take things for granted because you just like when you're younger, you feel invincible. I got a story for you guys. I always got stories for you guys. But this is not a basketball-related story. When I went to junior college in Arizona, I'll never forget, my buddy had like a little 4x2 Nissan pickup truck. And, you know, it was legal back then, but you could jump in the back of the bed. You know, and you can have 3 or 4 guys. Only 2 people supposed to fit in the thing, right? But you can have 8 guys because everybody's jumping in the back. And I always used to jump in the back of his bed, and we'd even go on the highway. And I always told myself, I'm like, man, if we ever get in a wreck, right before we get in a wreck, I'll just jump off the bed and land on my feet, and everything will be cool.
Simple.
You know, so again, it goes back to when you're younger, you're a lot more cocky. You think you know and confident and all that, and that cockiness, I guess, is really naive, you know, and so you don't appreciate things, in my opinion. I'm not saying this for everybody, I know for me, but you don't appreciate things as much back then as you do now because, you know, you've gone through the ringer, not just in the sport, but in life too. And so, you know, when moments like these come across, they're special, they're precious, and you really try to embrace them. So not that I didn't appreciate it back then, but I really appreciate something like this now, and I understand how big it is, not just for me and my family, but for the organization and the city. So I really embrace it, and I really appreciate all the votes because it could have gone to a lot of other guys, in my opinion.
Coach, when you look back a year ago, looking back taking this job, and could you ever envision where you'd be right now, especially playing the Warriors in the first round and Coach of the Year?
I mean, you don't. At least I didn't think about Coach of the Year, but I truly believe when I took the job, we were going to be a playoff team, and I always said you got to be healthy, players got to compete, and they got to bring a little bit of organization, or the staff and I had to bring a little organization to what we had going on, and then you got to get a little bit lucky too. And so I truly believe that. But in terms of playing the Warriors, again, I sort of hinted with Brandon Schneider, or we kind of joked with each other last year when I took the job, and so it wasn't anything that I said, oh, it's going to happen, but we joked about it, and it has happened, so good for both of us.
Mike, can you walk us through the mental grind of a playoff series and how you prepare a team for that, even if game one hasn't even started yet?
Obviously, the level of mental toughness that you have to have going into the series, and especially during the series, is going to be huge, because there are going to be a lot of adverse situations that you're going to run into. It's not going to be smooth sailing, because you're playing the best of the best during this run. And so to be able to not overreact or get sidetracked because this happened or that happened, or there was a no call here or a turnover there, being able to make sure you stay even keeled and locked in, that in itself is going to be tough on a possession by possession affair. So we've talked, until we're blue in the face about a lot of different situations that can happen, and now it's about going out there and experiencing it, and that, as well as the physicalness of the playoffs, is going to be something that as a group I'm really interested to see how we respond. I think it's going to be good, but you never know until you actually go through the fire. So,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you
Thanks, Mike.
guys.
Congratulations.